Forget everything you think you know about farming. In one wild decade, a Kansas engineer killed the hay crew. A North Dakota brother duo built tractors in a dairy barn that conquered the prairies, and a red rotary combine erased 100 years of harvesting design in a single season. The 1970s didn't just feed the world. It rewrote the rule book, replaced muscle with horsepower, and dragged agriculture screaming into the modern era. These 10 machines made it happen. Number 10. The John Deere 4430. We start with the tractor that changed what it felt like to farm. On Saturday, August 19, 1972, John Deere dealers across the country held an open house to unveil what the company called its Generation 2 tractors. 4 new models came out that day: the 80 horsepower 4030, the 100 horsepower 4230, the 125 horsepower 4430, and the 150 horsepower 4630. Deere called them Sound Idea tractors because of their groundbreaking integrated operator's enclosure called the Sound Guard body. Before the Sound Guard, farmers spent 12 to 14 hours a day in dust, sun, wind, and rain, often on a steel pan seat with no protection. The Sound Guard changed all that. It was a fully insulated cab with thick lead septum padding, foam, fiberglass, and upholstery. It could be ordered with air conditioning, a heater, and a radio. It made the John Deere 4430 the most comfortable tractor any American farmer had ever sat in. The 4430 was the sales leader of the entire group, and for good reason. It used the legendary 404 cubic inch 6-cylinder turbocharged diesel engine, producing 125.88 horsepower at the PTO in Nebraska tractor tests. It came with multiple transmission options, including the 16-speed quad-range partial power shift, a perma-clutch durable wet clutch, and a personal posture seat. The 4430 was built at the Waterloo, Iowa factory from 1973 to 1977. Tens of thousands were sold, and many are still working on farms today, more than 50 years later. The 4430 didn't just sell tractors. It convinced farmers that sealed, climate-controlled cabs were not a luxury, they were the future. Number 9. The International Harvester 1066. While Deere was rolling out the Sound Guard, Rock Island, Illinois was building a beast of its own. The International Harvester 1066 was introduced in 1971 as part of the legendary 66 series, manufactured at the IH plant in Rock Island. In just 6 years of production, from 1971 to 1976, more than 50,000 units were built. The 1066 became one of the most iconic tractors in American farming history, and it has a special place in International Harvester's record book. In the first quarter of 1974, IH produced its 5 millionth tractor, the model that rolled off the line that day, a 1066. At the heart of the 1066 was the IH DT414 engine, a 6.8-liter turbocharged 6-cylinder direct-start diesel that produced 108 drawbar horsepower and approximately 125 PTO horsepower. The engine itself became famous. It was constructed with a heavy block, a forged steel crankshaft with 7 main bearings, and replaceable wet cylinder sleeves. It was so durable that thousands of 1066 tractors today have over 10,000 hours on the clock and still run strong. The 1066 came with 3 transmission options: an 8-speed gear with a torque amplifier that allowed shifting on the fly under load, a 16-speed partial power shift, and a hydrostatic transmission that gave operators infinite forward and reverse control. 2 cab options were available: the carryover custom cab and the new deluxe cab, both with optional air conditioning, heat, and AM radio. The 1066 came in 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, with a high clear variant that's now a serious collector's item. With the introduction of the 86 series in 1976, the 1066 was upgraded with about 5 more horsepower, but the original is still the one farmers remember. It was IH's direct answer to John Deere, and for many Midwestern farmers, it was simply the tractor of the decade. Number 8. The Vermeer 605 round baler. In 1971, in Pella, Iowa, a man named Gary Vermeer changed haymaking forever with a piece of chalk and a fence post. It started with a conversation. A local cattle producer told Gary he was getting out of cattle because making hay was too labor-intensive, and he could no longer do it alone. Gary, an inventor at heart, decided what was needed was a one-person hay system. He chalked out a design on the Vermeer company factory floor with engineer Arnie Mathis, and 45 days later they had a prototype. It didn't work at first. They couldn't get the bale to start forming, so Gary grabbed a fence post, threw it inside the chamber, and the bale took right off. Then he ordered cardboard tubes to use as starters and figured out the fingers to catch the hay. The result was the Vermeer 605, the first modern large round baler. Introduced commercially in 1971 and available in volume by 1972, it formed bales 6 feet wide and 7 feet in diameter, weighing more than a ton. That was almost 10 times the size of any other baler on the market. In its first year, Vermeer filled 300 orders, all delivered by May 1972. By 1974, the company had nearly quadrupled in sales. The Vermeer 605 reduced baling from a 3 to 5 man chore to a 1-person operation, and the bales themselves were tightly wound and shed water, which meant they didn't even need to be sheltered. To this day, the Vermeer round baler is the single most iconic invention in the company's history. And the round balers you see in every pasture in North America are the direct descendants of Gary Vermeer's chalk drawing on that Iowa factory floor. Number 7. The Hesston 5400 round baler and stack hand. 60. While Gary Vermeer was inventing one solution to hay's labor problem, the Hesston Corporation in Hesston, Kansas, was attacking it from another direction. Hesston Corporation was founded in 1947 by Lyle Yost and Adine Holdeman. Yost had been a farmer who recognized inefficiencies in unloading grain and developed an unloading auger to solve it. By 1955, Hesston had launched the first commercially available self-propelled windrower, the Model 100. But the 1970s is when Hesston truly redefined haymaking. In 1970, Hesston introduced the Stackhand 60, the world's first loose hay stacker. It was a one-pass machine that gathered hay and packed it into a freestanding stack you could leave in the field. Then, in 1976, Hesston launched the 5400 and 5800 large round balers, turning hay production into a one-man operation. While Vermeer is rightfully credited with the first modern large round baler, the Hesston 5400 and 5800 series brought serious competition and helped define what a round baler should be. But Hesston's biggest breakthrough came in 1978 with the Hesston 4800, the world's first large square baler, producing 4x4-foot square bales that minimized dry matter loss. The double-knot knotter system that Hesston engineers developed in the early 1970s is, remarkably, almost identical to the knotters being installed on Hesston balers today. Hesston eventually became part of Axial and is now sold under the Massey Ferguson brand. But the Kansas plant still produces hay equipment, and every modern large square baler in the world traces its DNA back to that original 4800. From the stackhand to the 5400 to the 4800, Hesston gave the 1970s farmer the tools to handle hay alone. Number 6. The John Deere 7700 Combine. The 1970s was also the decade combines grew up, and John Deere set the pace. In 1969, John Deere introduced its new generation of combines, including the 3300, 4400, 6600, and 7700. The John Deere 7700, produced from 1970 to 1978, became the flagship of the line. It was Deere's largest conventional walker combine of the era, designed for the big wheat and corn fields of the American heartland. Early 7700s came with gasoline engines, but by the mid-1970s, the 7700 was diesel only. From 1973, the 7700 was offered with a turbocharged 404 diesel engine, the same engine family as the 4430 tractor. The 7700 introduced features that became standard on combines for decades. The quick-attach header mounting system, standard on all new generation models, allowed farmers to swap a wheat header for a corn head in minutes instead of hours. In 1974, the 7700 received a redesigned engine cover with a new self-cleaning rotary screen that solved the chronic overheating problem caused by chaff-clogging radiators. By 1975, a guardrail had been added across the front of the engine deck, and by 1976, a regular catwalk was installed for safe maintenance access. The 7700 was a workhorse. Many farmers bought them new in the early 1970s and ran them well into the 2000s. with 30 or more harvest seasons on the same machine. By the time production ended in 1978 and the Titan series took over, the 7700 had defined what a high-capacity American grain combine should look like for an entire generation. The 6600 may have outsold the 7700 in raw numbers, but the 7700 was the one that the biggest farms relied on, and it set the stage for everything Deere would do in harvesting. Number 5. The Steiger Bearcat II. Now to the prairies. Because in the 1970s, four-wheel drive articulated tractors went from a curiosity to a revolution, and Steiger Tractor Company led the way. The Steiger Tractor Company was founded in the 1950s by brothers Douglas and Maurice Steiger in Red Lake Falls, Minnesota. They built their first tractor in their dairy barn out of truck components for their own use. By 1969, 126 tractors had been built on the farm, and the company moved into a new factory in Fargo, North Dakota. The 1970s was Steiger's decade. International Harvester purchased a 30% stake in the company. Annual sales hit $104 million by 1977, and in 1979 the Fargo plant built its 10,000th tractor. The Steiger Bearcat II, built from 1974 through 1976, was a mid-tier model in the famous Big Cat lineup that included the Wildcat, Bearcat, Cougar, Panther, and Tiger. The Bearcat II ST25 had a 118-inch wheelbase, weighed over 11 tons, and was powered by a Caterpillar 3160 inline six-cylinder diesel, producing 225 horsepower. Later Bearcat IIs were rated at 210 horsepower. By the mid-1970s, Steiger was approaching nearly 40% market share for articulated four-wheel drive tractors. In 1975, the company moved into its new 420,000 square foot production facility in Fargo, which Case IH still uses today. Steigers were also produced under contract for Alice Chalmers, Ford, International Harvester, and Canadian Co-op Implements, with more than 10,000 badge-engineered tractors built. Steiger declared bankruptcy in 1986 during the farm crisis and was acquired by Tenneco. Today, Case IH still uses the Steiger name on its largest four-wheel drive and quad-track tractors. The Bearcat, the Cougar, and the Panther of the 1970s are the direct ancestors of every articulated tractor on the prairies today. Number 4. The versatile 850. While Steiger was capturing the American four-wheel drive market, a Canadian company in Winnipeg, Manitoba, was making its own play. Versatile Tractor Company was founded in 1963 by Peter Pakosh and Roy Robinson. In 1966, with the D100 and G100 four-wheel drives, Versatile became the first company to mass-produce articulated four-wheel drive tractors. By the 1970s, Versatile controlled a stunning 70% of the worldwide four-wheel drive tractor market. The Versatile 850, built from 1973 to 1977, was the company's heavyweight workhorse. It was powered by a 14-liter Cummins inline six-cylinder turbocharged diesel producing 280 horsepower with a 12-speed full constant mesh transmission offering 3 ranges of 4 speeds and a top forward speed of 14.3 miles per hour. The Versatile 850 weighed roughly 18,500 pounds. Its boxy, flat design made it instantly recognizable, and its dual wheels made it incredibly capable in soft soil. Versatile also did something unique. Their custom-built rubber-mounted cabs reduced noise dramatically for the era. And in 1977, Versatile introduced the 150 bidirectional, the world's first true bidirectional tractor, where the operator's seat could rotate to face either direction of travel. Then in 1977, Versatile built Big Roy, a 600-horsepower, 8-wheeled monster named after co-founder Roy Robinson, with a 19-liter Cummins engine and a weight of 26 tons. Big Roy was an attempt to make the largest tractor in the world, and although only one was built, it announced to everyone that Canadian farm machinery had arrived. In 1987, Ford New Holland bought Versatile, and today, Versatile is owned by Rost Selmush. But the iconic red, yellow, and black colors are still on tractors built in Winnipeg. The Versatile 850 of the 1970s was the foundation of all of it. Number 3. The Ford 9700. Ford had been building tractors for decades, but in the late 1970s, they took aim at the high-horsepower row crop market with their flagship machine. The Ford 9700, manufactured from 1977 to 1979, was the top of Ford Motor Company's two-wheel drive lineup. It was powered by a 6.6-liter turbocharged six-cylinder Ford diesel engine with manufacturer-claimed 146 horsepower. In Nebraska Tractor Test 1243, the 9700 actually delivered 135.64 PTO horsepower and 113 drawbar horsepower with a maximum pull of 15,010 pounds. The 8000 and 9000 series of the early 1970s evolved into the 8600 and 9600 series, and then in 1976 into the more refined 8700 and 9700. The Ford 9700 came with an 8-speed gear transmission as standard, or an optional 16-speed 2-speed power shift transmission, which allowed precise control under load. The cab was designed for long days with tinted glass, wide doors, rubber isolators to reduce noise, a tilting and telescoping steering wheel, and a fully adjustable Bostrom seat. Air conditioning, heat, and a radio cassette player came standard. Ford then made an even bigger move. In 1977, Ford launched the FW series, four-wheel drive articulated giants based on Steiger chassis. The entry-level FW20 was rated at 210 horsepower. The FW30 was 265 horsepower. The FW40 was 295 horsepower, and the flagship FW60 broke the 300 horsepower barrier with 335 horsepower from a turbocharged Cummins engine. The FW series let Ford finally compete head-to-head with Steiger and Versatile. In 1986, Ford acquired New Holland, and the Ford New Holland brand was born. The 9700 and the FW series of the late 1970s laid the groundwork for that entire merger and for everything Ford New Holland and CNH Industrial would do in the decades to come. Number 2. The John Deere 7000 Max-Emerge Planter. Now we get to a piece of equipment that doesn't get the same hype as a tractor or combine, but quietly transformed every cornfield in America. In 1974, John Deere released the 7000 and 7100 Max-Emerge planters. Manufactured from 1974 to 1986, the 7000 was a semi-mounted row crop planter that introduced two technologies that became industry standards. The first was the Max-Emerge row unit itself, which allowed seeds to be placed at a more precise depth than ever before. The second was the True-V opener system. Before the Max-Emerge, planting accuracy was inconsistent. Seeds went in at different depths, emergence was uneven, and yield suffered. The Max-Emerge changed everything. With the True-V double disc openers and precise depth control, every seed went into the ground at the same depth in the same trench geometry, with the same firming pressure. The result was uniform emergence, which meant uniform plant height, which meant maximum yield potential. The 7000 came in multiple configurations, including 4-row narrow versions for 30-32 or 34-inch row spacing, and 4-row wide versions for 36, 38, or 40-inch rows. Most 7000 were sold with the finger pickup mechanism, which selected seeds one at a time, similar to how a farmer would manually. By the 1980s, the 7000 and its successor Max-Emerge planters had taken over American corn production. Today, John Deere's Max-Emerge 5 Exact-Emerge planters and Kinsey planters that copy the original geometry are direct descendants of the 1974 True-V design. Every uniform stand of corn you see growing in straight rows across Iowa, Illinois, and Indiana traces back to that one Deere innovation. Number 1. The International Harvester 1460 Axial-Flow, and finally, the machine that didn't just improve farming, it rebooted it. In 1977, after more than 20 years of laboratory research and development, International Harvester introduced the Model 1460 Axial-Flow combine. Alongside its smaller sibling, the 1440, every combine built before the 1460 used the same fundamental design, a transverse threshing drum and concave, followed by straw walkers to separate grain from straw. The 1460 threw all of that out It used a single longitudinal rotor running the length of the machine, with a sectional concave system, doing both threshing and separation in one continuous flow. The Axial-Flow story actually began in the 1950s, when IH laboratory research found that an open concave and cylinder were more efficient than straw walkers. IH spent more than 1 million man-hours engineering the machine, and 300 pre-production prototypes were harvesting across the United States and Canada in 1977. The 1460 ran a 436 cubic inch IH-built turbocharged diesel, producing 170 horsepower with a 24-inch diameter rotor, a 180 bushel grain tank, a 4,750 square inch sieve cleaning area, hydrostatic steering, hydrostatic transmission, and a 58-inch wide cab that was 18 inches wider than any competitor. Cab options included an 8-track player, radio, cigar lighter, and interior lighting. Farmers who bought the 1460 reported less grain damage, less field loss, and the ability to harvest specialty crops like malt barley, pinto beans, sunflowers, wheat, corn, and milo, all without changing machines. John Deere was so concerned that they bought one of the first 1460s sold in Minnesota, took it back to their experimental farm, tore it apart, and built a hybrid prototype with the IH rotor bolted to a Deere chassis. IH's patent on the rotary design gave them a competitive advantage that lasted for decades. The 1460 set the stage for over 30 years of axial flow production and continues today through the Case IH 2500 series, with the modern 9250 producing 625 horsepower, more than 3.5 times the original 1460. Every modern rotary combine on the market, from John Deere's STS to New Holland's CR series, traces its DNA back to that 1977 machine. So that's it for today. If you like this video, then please hit the like and subscribe button for more videos. Thanks for watching.